I am happy to introduce our fellow class of 2015 intern, Brandon Stevenson, who will tell us what Genesys Works has meant to him. Please help us welcome him to the stage.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everyone who came out tonight to see me give this speech. Whew. Could not be prouder to be here. My mother was an up-and-coming neonatal nurse with a college education and a great career ahead of her. However, years before I was born, she was involved in a car accident with an 18-wheeler that left her unable to walk without a cane for the rest of her life. In spite of her disabilities, for as long as she was able, my mother worked hard to support my younger brother and I. She's one of the most determined women I've ever met, and I'm proud to call her my mom. My father, well, he was another story. He could never hold down a job. He was a charmer, and I guess you could say a salesman. Unfortunately, what he sold was cocaine. After becoming an addict himself, he became violent, began fighting with my mom, and ruined our family. When I was 5, my father threatened to kill my mother. So she took her sons and fled to relatives. We moved all over Texas, never settling down. Eventually, my mother was offered a job, and we returned to Houston. But my father, fresh out of prison, came back into our lives. My mother was laid off when the recession hit, making life much harder. Unemployment and savings helped, but her hip and back had degenerated severely, making a steady 9-to-5 much less feasible. Our financial situation slowly but surely got worse, going from savings to unemployment to food stamps to eventually the food bank. All I could see in my father anymore was a burden. He ate our food, spent our gas, breathed our air, and rarely, if ever, contributed anything back. All he did was take. At the same time, as a little boy, I still loved him. But at a very important developmental period in my life, I realized that as much as I loved my father, I wanted to grow up to be nothing like him. He had nothing but the charity of a family he repeatedly took advantage of. So I decided I'd never be like that. I'd never put my children or my family through what he had done to us. I was going to have to take his good traits and eliminate the bad. Easier said than done. Then in high school, as my home issues escalated, so did my self-destructive behavior. Everything reached a boiling point in my sophomore year. After my mother demanded my father leave at last, he assaulted her and attempted to steal our car. With my father back in prison, I became withdrawn, and to release stress, I did increasingly harmful things. Until the day the police were called. I ran. After I was captured and detained, I sat there on the freezing ground, realizing that I was no different than my father. Thankfully, no charges were filed, but that night changed me forever. I realized that if I really wanted to not end up like my father, I had to actually get my life together. I was an academic failure. I was poor. I needed to take care of my mom and my brother, and I couldn't afford college. As far as I could tell, my ship had sailed. But in that darkest hour, one of my closest friends handed me a lifeline and told me about the Genesys Works program. So I reached for it. I applied. I was determined to prove I was the type of student Genesys Works was looking for. And when I got accepted into the program, I knew I had done just that. But my journey wasn't over. The next step was 8 weeks of professional and technical skills trainings designed to refine us diamonds in the rough into true professionals. These trainings were invaluable, teaching me how to dress, act, and perform in the professional world that had seemed out of reach until now. Genesys Works has really taught me the importance of hard work and effort, bringing my latent potential to light. I did my best to excel in training, and when it came time to be placed in an internship, I earned a coveted spot at BP. Genesys Works has truly changed my life for the better. Before, I had nothing but fear, apprehension, and doubts about my future. Now, for the first time, I have real prospects in my life. I'm eligible for and filling out many scholarships. I'm on track to college acceptance, and I'm holding down an internship at a Fortune 500 company before I even graduate high school. The future now holds nothing but promise. All the people at BP and Genesys Works who worked to groom me to be ready for the world beyond high school, who invested in me, will not see their work go to waste. I will pay off. I have every intention of breaking through.